So today in the uh, mycology chapter, we are going to start the systemic mycosis. So in this video, we are going to talk about the brief introduction of the systemic mycosis, and we'll also talk about the histoplasmosis and blastomycosis. Now, if you look at the systemic mycosis are the group of the fungi that causes both pneumonia, and it causes the widespread dissemination of the disease, and they are all caused by the dimorphic fungi. You have to know that the dimorphic fungi means those type of fungi that can live both in heat and cold. That means in the cold, in the 20 degrees Celsius, they present as the mold state, whereas in the heat, at the 37 degrees Celsius, they present as yeast state. But there is the exception in the Coccidioides. It is the spirule, and it is not yeast in the tissues. The systemic mycosis can form the granulomas. So other type of bacteria that can cause the granuloma is tuberculosis. And unlike the tuberculosis, this systemic mycosis cannot be transmitted from the person to person. So this is the main difference between the granuloma causing organism. That means the systemic mycosis can also cause the granuloma, whereas the tuberculosis can also cause the granuloma, but the person to person transmission can only occur in the tuberculosis, whereas the person to person transmission doesn't occur in this systemic mycosis infection. So what is the treatment? If the infection is like local infection, then the fluconazole or itraconazole can be given. But if there is systemic fungal infection, then we give the amphotericin B, which is the antifungal drug. So now let us discuss more detail about the histoplasmosis and blastomycosis. First of all, let us discuss about the histoplasmosis. So histoplasmosis is basically caused by the histoplasma, and the main features of the histoplasmosis is palatal or tongue ulcers, and there is splenomegaly, and there is the pancytopenia. You can also see in this picture is that there is presence of the palatal and the tongue ulcers. This is the picture of the person who has been immunocompromised. It is infected with the histoplasmosis, and there is presence of the palatal and tongue ulcers. The main pathological features. The pathological feature of histoplasmosis, we see the macrophage that is filled with histoplasma. You can also see in this picture is that after this stain, you can see the macrophage, and inside those macrophages they are the histoplasma. There is the presence of the histoplasma, and the histoplasma is associated with bird or bat droppings, and it is diagnosed via the urine or serum antigen. So there could be the two type of diagnosis. You can diagnose by the examination of the blood, and in the blood you can see the macrophage that is filled with the histoplasma, and also you can detect the antigen via the serum or urine. So the endemic location in the United States of America in the histoplasmosis is Mississippi and Ohio river valleys. And if you look at the blastomycosis, the blastomycosis endemic location is eastern and central United States and Great Lakes. The main clinical features you see in the blastomycosis is inflammatory lung disease that can be disseminated to bone or skin, and it can mimic the squamous cell carcinoma. You can also see in this figure there is inflammatory lung disease, and this inflammatory lung disease can disseminate to bone and skin. You can see in this picture is that the blastomycosis, the infection of the blastomycosis is widespread to the whole skin, and it is showing the features like the squamous cell carcinoma, but it is not actually the squamous cell carcinoma. If you give the antifungal drug, then it can be treated easily. And this blastomycosis can also form the granulomatous nodules. The main pathological feature you find is the broad-based budding of blastomyces. You can also see in this picture is that there is the picture of the broad-based budding of blastomyces. So in this chapter, in this video, we discuss about the brief introduction of the systemic mycosis and the histoplasmosis and blastomyces. You have to know that the antifungal drug we give are fluconazole and itraconazole in local, and For the systemic infection, we give amphotericin B, and it forms the granuloma. Unlike TB, it doesn't transfer from person to person. And in histoplasmosis and in the blastomycosis, in histoplasmosis you see the palatal tongue ulcers, and in the blastomycosis you can see the inflammatory lung disease that can be disseminated to bone and skin, and the lesion can mimic the squamous cell carcinoma. So I hope you understood this topic on the systemic mycosis of histoplasmosis and blastomycosis, and in the next video we'll talk about the coccidioidomycosis and paracoccidioidomycosis. Thank you.